So tell me about let's say, from a process documentation point of view, and you spoke about this before as well. From a process and documentation, if I can say the word, process and documentation, I've said it right now. What's the bare minimum we need to make sure we've got protection as a business?
Yeah, so that comes back to, and if you've heard previous episodes, what we call really solid HR foundations. So clear, compliant, and up-to-date relevant employment contracts for each individual. So that's your core bones. Then you have up-to-date workplace policies and or an employee handbook. So you have things like performance management process, disciplinary policy, grievance procedure, bullying and harassment, all these policies that need to be clear that will help you when you get in a situation with underperformance. And then the last thing is documented performance standards or role expectation, and that's generally seen in a position description. This is what you're employed to do. You're here to be the account manager. These are the responsibilities. This is the purpose of the position, and this is what you need to deliver. So if you have those three elements in place, then when you come to a situation that you need to manage that could lead to termination, it's going to make you as the employer protected so much more. So then you would basically follow the performance management framework, which is outlined, for example, in the employee handbook. You need to make sure you go through a fair and thorough process and that procedural fairness is followed. Now, all these standards and technical terms would be in a handbook so that when an employee is issued, for example, a formal disciplinary meeting invite, everything that is outlined in there is backed by what's in our performance disciplinary process in a handbook. So you need to make sure that you give the individual notification of the issue. That is generally in this invitation to disciplinary meeting invite. So outline the exact issues at hand that you're going to discuss, because you can never just pull someone in and say, hey, Tom, I need to talk to you about X, Y, Z that happened yesterday. Now, a lot of people will say, but why? It's clear that they've done this. I don't care how much evidence it is, slow it down and follow the process. So write to them with the allegations, outline that they have an opportunity to respond, when we're going to meet. They can bring a support person and potentially what the outcome could be. No further action, further performance management warning and or termination. Because if you don't outline all these things initially, when we turn to the worst case, when we get in front of the commission, it's not necessarily about again, I'm using the word, the crime that the employee did, the actions, the non-compliance. It's how you dealt with it as an employer under the process. Did you do these things to allow them an opportunity to respond, opportunity for improvement if applicable, support person, etc., etc. A
They're
lot
all
of,
the things. They're all
yeah,
the things from a commission point of view that a lot of
correct.
us aren't aware
It's,
of, isn't it? Yeah.
you know, if someone was, say, if I was to physically punch you in the face, Paul, that is serious misconduct. That is violence in the workplace. That is a terminal offence. However, if you just say to me, Jenny, you're out the door, affected immediately, gone and done. Now, there could be 10 witnesses. You can have bruises on your face. It's very clear that I've done the wrong thing. But if you don't terminate me in the right manner,
Yes.
then you're actually going to become undone. Now, you can sit here and say that seems ludicrous, unfair, ridiculous. I'm not here to say I don't disagree, but what I'm here to say is it is the process and what we've got to go through.
Yep.
So, process is what lets a lot of people down. written records of all conversations and meetings, whether that be formal or informal. As we mentioned before, you have a chat to someone about a certain matter, send yourself a file note, like an email. Spoke to Paul on this date about XYZ. We agreed we're going to do ABC. Send that email to you, put it in the personnel file. So then you've got records time and dated, because there's no point saying, yeah, but I spoke to Paul every week for the last 10 weeks. Well, I don't have anything in writing. So tell me what that actually means. Um, you need to be consistent. You need to make sure that you have the documentation, follow the process, get the likes of HR involved to remove the bias, making sure that you're covering everything off. Because as you mentioned earlier, when these matters happen, especially when it comes to small business and you generally have good relationships with the staff, emotions come into play. Judgment gets clouded. Your commercial thinking disappears.
Yeah.
And basically, if it's not documented, it didn't happen.
It's a very good point. And again, we learn. I know one of the things that I always do now is my risk hat is on number one. And that just comes from experience. So again, this is the great part for everyone listening, that you can train team members, you can educate your leaders, your people leaders, your managers, whatever that is, to make sure they think about that risk hat on first and how should they act, but making sure processes are in place.
And a lot of people avoid addressing these matters because they can be uncomfortable. They're
Yeah.
awkward, or you might just know this employee is going to put up a fight no matter what I say. But by not addressing it and leaving it till it's too late when you're about to explode, that helps no one.
Yep.
And it really helps you, doesn't help you at the end of the day.